where we speak objectivity. I came across this video and I tried putting the video together to show my viewers and find out their own view and opinion that video.
Including our security agencies, our defense and security agencies, everything. How do they plan to do this? You would think by now somebody is sitting there thinking, let's put 4 or 5 things. We all know what the problem is, but how do we intend to tackle it differently? What can we do better? What can we stop? What about all this waste? Open the budget, 2024, 2025 budget that we're running now, for goodness sake. It's just fiction.
Right. So the coalition doesn't have the answers, or at least they have not convinced you yet. You don't believe the Tinubu administration has the answers. But for most Nigerians, the answer is black and white. It's either you're with Tinubu or you're with the opposition.
Not necessarily. I think you're...
Is there an in-between?
Yes. By the way, I think the coalition would argue that we would say what we are about, but first let's get some kind of platform. In fairness to them, they are desperately looking for a platform that will represent a genuine and robust and credible threat and an alternative to APC. The problem, I think, is they are doing it the wrong way. They're putting themselves forward as the alternative to Tinubu. And, you know, Nigerians will look around and say, well, how on earth are you different? You're the same people. Some of the key players in this coalition were actually part of the Buhari administration for the entire 8 years that he was there. How much have you changed enough for us to have faith in you? What is it that you will do different? Because now you're not part of this government. Now you're now part of a coalition that will change Nigeria. How? What do you plan to do? Vice President Atiku Abubakar, I have tremendous respect for him. He has been the man standing, but he's been out of power since 2007. He's been in politics, but he's been out of power since 2007.
Is that
his party?
Is that instrumental in your view?
No, but what it tells you something about him, that he has unfortunately not been able to keep the PDP together, resist the threat of Wike to the last point. If somebody like Wike can come into PDP and mess it up with a huge colossus like Vice President Atiku, who was a product of PDP, who did everything for the party, shouldn't that ask you about his politics? Right now, Wike is a lot more influential in the PDP than him. And Wike was just a governor. Now he's a minister. How is it possible? Where did he lose the ball? Where did he drop the ball?
Are you saying that Atiku Abubakar no longer has the political currency to pull the kind of influence one would have thought that he would normally have?
I have to be careful to tell you how I answer you now. I get a lot of insults from people who don't know how much I respect Vice President Atiku Abubakar. I really have a lot of respect for him. But let's look at this. If he is contemplating leaving PDP, he can only leave it for people like Wike. Now, doesn't that tell you just how he has that? What is his standing? He was the backbone and the strong point of PDP. I was a federal permanent secretary when him and Obasanjo became president and vice president. I was in INEC as secretary when they won their second election. I knew how powerful PDP was. And if somebody like Wike can make Atiku or even President Tinubu leave the PDP for somebody, literally you are abandoning ship. So if all these coalition talks involve Vice President Atiku Abubakar working out of PDP, literally what he's saying is that he has lost a war to somebody who is
This won't be the first time he leaves PDP in the hands of other people.
He went to contest for elections and came back. And he leaves and comes back. But now if he leaves and he goes into a coalition that either has nothing to do with PDP or has his little portion of PDP, I think it's a terrible, terrible setback for the Wazirin. Seriously. For a man who has held up...
Do you think he is the spearhead for the coalition?
Yes.
I mean, there are other political heavyweights there.
One of the options is they are not even talking about, look, let's all go into PDP, reinforce it. Even if we have to cause a faction. And faction, by the way, is legally defined. All these people running away from PDP into APC, the party has not been factionalized. That's how you move from one party to another one, and then the law doesn't say, hey, hold it, you can't do that. You can't just walk away from your party into another one unless INEC and the courts or the law says the party is factionalized.
Right.
PDP is not factionalized. What they have is it's a huge nuisance who has come into the party, card-carrying member of the party, who is a very powerful minister here, whose job entirely is to destroy PDP. And there's nothing you can do about it. Nothing. And you are even imminently at the point of walking out, leaving the party to him. I'm telling you, I don't.
You think this is an indictment on Atiku Abubakar's political dexterity, or?
I think that given his seniority, given his experience, given his statesmanship, honestly, if I was to rub shoulders with people like Rufai and Amechi, I would say, come into PDP.
Right.
Let's rebuild PDP with your desires and your anger, and let's create a new generation of PDP people who will emerge from states, take over the governorship of states, take over the National Assembly, produce a president, but it should not be us.
Right. Okay.
It should not be us.
You're doubling down on that thought that they should bow out of the arena, especially when it comes to contesting some of these positions. I don't know if you had a listen to what former governor of Kaduna State, Nasir El-Rufai, had to say yesterday on Arise News Prime Time. He said quite a lot about the coalition, talked about the president's waning popularity, quote unquote. He says they have the numbers. The president is not popular. He never was, but of course that popularity has dipped even further. What's your takeaway from what he had to say about how single-minded they are about forming, this alliance or coalition to wrestle power away from Tinubu?
I would say let's see it. Talk is cheap. What's going on? Today you hear they've gone to INEC to submit an application to be registered. This
worry really about Atiku is the fact that he has always made it about himself.
Yeah.
Look, we all come to contribute our quota to the development of this country.
Yeah.
When we are far gone, the country will still be standing.
Exactly.
So it cannot always be about Atiku.
Yeah.
Now, if he can take that out and put in his investment to see a Nigerian that works for everybody, I think he will get some traction. Don't you think so?
You just took the words out of my mouth. There is a graph that has a domain, and let that domain be patriotism. And there is this linear graph of personal ambition. I think the optimized point. And
yes.
it was insubordination
from the top.
That he was giving to Obasanjo.
So we need to be clear on how he's going to destroy the status quo.
Exactly.
What status quo is he distorting?
That's what I'm saying.
So that's why I agree with Philip that he needs to come out clear and clean and tell us the status quo is distorted.
I'm very categorical about this. Atiku doesn't have. El-Rufai said something that Asiwaju doesn't have a pathway to victory. I don't think it's more of Asiwaju if it's Asiwaju versus Atiku. If it's Asiwaju versus Atiku, the swing is going to switch very very favorably to Asiwaju, because one, what are the bases of picking Atiku? What are the bases? Okay. Now, look at those who ran with him. P2B ran with Atiku in 2019. In 2023, P2B ran against Atiku. Okowa ran with Atiku in 2023. We are even yet to get to 2027. There was a report that Okowa regretted. Okowa is already in another opposition.
I normally say that to a political analyst, the society is our laboratory. And that's what you are doing now. Yes.
Where is the consistency?
And where is loyalist?
So where is the consistency of his character? Who are the people he's been building with or work with? So what does he want to cash into? Quick person's vote. When people say, Obi shouldn't have run, he encouraged him to Atiku's. So Atiku's vote from where? Did you manufacture it for him? The people will choose whoever they want.
Yes. Well, it's all right. We are still staying on board to see where he's going to distort the status quo. I think
all of them should sit back and allow fresh person. Even Dr. Ahmed said, Asiwaju himself should even bring out a fresh person.
Yes.
To stand for APC. They should move back, walk from behind the scene, and let people that understand the problems we are facing, people that have been live here long enough to see the problem they would have created for themselves, let them come and mount.
That's why we talk about.
I hope we all watch this video with open-minded. I don't need to talk much about that video because the video spoke for itself. The first person that spoke in that video needs no explanation. He is Dr. Hakim Baba Ahmed. Yes, I might not agree totally with him, but there are some points that he made we should look into. More especially, the one he spoke about the coalition, and the faces in that coalition are fronting themselves. And so we should be careful. We should be very careful. And the second video about the young men, we had them very loud and clear. I'm concerned. I think they made a point. Let's see next time.